Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. Seneca, the crucible is not a single event. It is a relentless forge where the self is either broken down into dust or hammered into an unyielding blade. It's the constant pressure, the agonizing choices, the sleepless nights that shape who you become. The key to mastering your crucible lies not in avoiding the heat, but in understanding its properties, in learning to manipulate the flames to your advantage. Most people crumble because they fight the process, they resist the pain, they cling to the comfort of their illusions. They fail to recognize that the crucible is not designed to destroy them, but to reveal their weaknesses, to burn away the impurities that hold them back. This is not about positive thinking or motivational fluff. This is about facing the brutal reality of your limitations, the cold, hard truth of your shortcomings. It's about acknowledging your fears, your insecurities, your vulnerabilities, and then using that knowledge to forge a mental armor that can withstand any assault. The crucible demands honesty, ruthless self-assessment, and a willingness to confront the darkness within. It requires you to strip away the layers of self-deception and confront the raw, unfiltered version of yourself. Only then can you begin the process of rebuilding, of reinforcing the foundations of your character, of forging a mental framework that is impervious to doubt and despair. The mind is the battlefield, and the crucible is the ultimate test of your mental fortitude. It exposes the cracks in your armor, the vulnerabilities in your defenses. It forces you to confront your deepest fears, to question your most cherished beliefs. It pushes you to the brink of exhaustion, to the point where you feel like giving up. But it is in these moments of extreme pressure that true strength is forged. It is in the face of overwhelming adversity that you discover what you are truly capable of. The crucible is not a place for the weak, the complacent, or the faint of heart. It is a place for warriors, for those who are willing to fight for their survival, for those who are determined to emerge from the flames stronger, wiser, and more resilient than ever before. To master your crucible, you must first understand the nature of your own mind. You must become a student of your own thoughts, your own emotions, your own behaviors. You must learn to identify the patterns that lead to self-sabotage, the triggers that ignite your fears, the beliefs that hold you back. This requires a level of self-awareness that few people possess. It requires a willingness to look inward, to confront the uncomfortable truths about yourself, to accept responsibility for your own choices and actions. Once you have gained this level of self-awareness, you can begin the process of reprogramming your mind, of replacing negative thoughts with positive ones, of building new habits that support your goals, of cultivating a mindset that is conducive to success. The psychological warfare aspect of mastering your crucible is about understanding how your own mind can be used against you. Your fears, your doubts, your insecurities are all weapons that can be turned inward, used to undermine your confidence and erode your resolve. The enemy is not always external. Often, it is the voice in your own head that is the most formidable opponent. To defeat this enemy, you must learn to control your thoughts, to silence the negative voices, to cultivate a sense of inner peace and tranquility. This requires a constant vigilance, an unwavering commitment to maintaining a positive mental attitude, even in the face of overwhelming adversity. It requires you to become the master of your own mind, to take control of your thoughts and emotions, to direct your focus and energy towards your goals. Strategic mindset is about approaching your crucible with a plan, with a clear understanding of your objectives and the steps you need to take to achieve them. It's about anticipating challenges, developing contingency plans, and adapting to changing circumstances. It's about thinking several steps ahead, anticipating your opponent's moves, and positioning yourself for success. This requires a high degree of critical thinking, problem-solving skills, and the ability to make decisions under pressure. It also requires a willingness to take calculated risks, to step outside of your comfort zone, and to embrace the uncertainty of the unknown. The strategic mindset is not about avoiding risk. It's about managing risk effectively, about assessing the potential rewards and consequences of your actions, and about making informed decisions that maximize your chances of success. Mental toughness is the cornerstone of mastering your crucible. It's the ability to withstand pain, to endure hardship, to persevere in the face of adversity. It's the unwavering commitment to your goals, the refusal to give up, the determination to succeed, no matter the obstacles. Mental toughness is not something you are born with. It's something you develop through consistent effort, through pushing yourself beyond your limits, through embracing challenges and overcoming adversity. It's about cultivating a mindset of resilience, of bouncing back from setbacks, of learning from your mistakes, and of using your experiences to grow stronger and more resilient. The crucible is the ultimate test of mental toughness, and those who emerge victorious are those who have learned to harness the power of their minds, to control their emotions, and to maintain their focus and determination, even in the darkest of times. Your crucible is a personal journey, a unique and individual experience. There is no one-size-fits-all solution, no magic formula for success. The key is to understand yourself, to identify your strengths and weaknesses, to develop a plan that is tailored to your specific needs and goals. It's about embracing the challenges, learning from your mistakes, and never giving up on your dreams. The crucible is not an ending, it's a beginning. It's the starting point for a new chapter in your life, a chapter filled with purpose, meaning, and fulfillment. Embrace the crucible, master its flames, and emerge as the warrior you were always meant to be. Consider the high-stakes world of corporate mergers, a landscape rife with ambition, deception, and ruthless competition. Imagine two companies, each vying for dominance in their respective markets, now locked in a battle for control of a larger entity. The CEO of Company A seasoned veteran named Marcus, has built his empire through shrewd deals and relentless negotiation. He understands the power of leverage, the art of persuasion, and the psychology of his opponents. He's a master strategist, always 3 steps ahead, anticipating every move and countering with calculated precision. His counterpart, the CEO of Company B, a rising star named Evelyn, is equally formidable. She's a data-driven innovator, leveraging cutting-edge technology and market analysis to gain an edge. She's a master of disruption, challenging the status quo and pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Their companies enter negotiations, a dance of power where every word, every gesture, every silence holds weight. Marcus attempts to use his experience to intimidate Evelyn, subtly questioning her experience, highlighting the risks involved, and painting a picture of potential disaster if she doesn't concede to his terms. He uses anecdotes of past deals gone wrong, emphasizing the importance of caution and the need for a steady hand. Evelyn, however, anticipates this tactic. She presents irrefutable data showcasing the synergies between their companies, the untapped market potential, and the long-term benefits of a merger based on equitable terms. She projects an unwavering confidence, countering Marcus's intimidation with cool logic and unshakable resolve. The negotiations drag on for weeks, each side digging in their heels, refusing to budge. The pressure mounts, the stakes escalate, and the tension becomes palpable. Marcus begins to exploit personal vulnerabilities, subtly leaking information about Evelyn's past business ventures, creating doubt and uncertainty within her company. He leverages his network of contacts, spreading rumors and whispering campaigns to undermine her credibility. Evelyn, facing mounting pressure and internal dissent, experiences the crucible firsthand. Doubt creeps in, questioning her decisions, her capabilities, and her future. She faces sleepless nights, plagued by anxiety and uncertainty. She could yield to the pressure, accepting Marcus's terms, salvaging the deal but sacrificing her principles. Or she could stand her ground, risking the entire merger, potentially losing everything she has worked for. Instead of succumbing to the pressure, Evelyn doubles down on her strategy. She focuses on building trust with key stakeholders within her own company, addressing their concerns directly, and reinforcing her vision for the future. She anticipates Marcus's moves, countering his propaganda with facts and evidence. She understands that the battle is not just about numbers and data, it's about perception and narrative. She crafts a compelling story of shared success, highlighting the benefits for both companies, the employees, and the customers. She presents a vision of a brighter future, inspiring confidence and galvanizing support. In the end, Evelyn emerges victorious. Her resilience, her strategic thinking, and her unwavering commitment to her principles not only saved the deal, but positioned her for a greater success. She turned the tide, winning over key stakeholders and exposing Marcus's tactics. Marcus, facing defeat, is forced to concede, accepting terms that are far more favorable to Company B. The merger is finalized, a testament to Evelyn's mental fortitude and strategic prowess. Crucible tested her limits, pushed her to the brink, but it also forged her into a stronger, more resilient leader. She emerged from the flames, not unscathed but transformed, with a newfound understanding of her own capabilities and a deeper appreciation for the power of mental toughness. This is the ruthlessness of the real world, a constant test of character, where only the mentally strong survive and thrive. The corporate merger serves as just one example of how a crucible can test you. Understand that these battles exist in all walks of life. The weak fail because they misunderstand the nature of the crucible. They see it as an external force, an unfair burden imposed upon them. They whine about the difficulty, the stress, the pressure, never realizing that the crucible is, in fact, a mirror. It reflects their own internal weaknesses, their lack of preparation, their failure to cultivate the mental fortitude necessary to withstand the heat. They believe that success is a matter of luck, of circumstance, of being in the right place at the right time. They fail to grasp that luck is merely preparation meeting opportunity. They wait for the perfect moment, the opportune time, the ideal conditions, oblivious to the fact that the perfect moment never arrives. The crucible demands action, not waiting. It rewards those who seize the initiative, who adapt to changing circumstances, who forge their own path through the flames. The weak cling to their comfort zones, their routines, their familiar surroundings. They resist change, they fear uncertainty, they avoid risk. They prioritize short-term comfort over long-term gain, immediate gratification over enduring success. They fail to understand that growth only occurs outside of the comfort zone. The crucible forces them to confront their fears, to challenge their limitations, to push beyond their perceived boundaries. But instead of embracing the challenge, they retreat, they shrink, they succumb to the pressure. They allow fear to paralyze them, doubt to undermine them, and insecurity to consume them. They are afraid to fail, afraid to look foolish, afraid to be judged. And in their fear, they guarantee their own defeat. The weak blame others for their failures. They point fingers, they make excuses, they deflect responsibility. They attribute their shortcomings to external factors, to unfair circumstances, to the actions of others. They refuse to acknowledge their own role in their downfall. They lack the self-awareness to recognize their own weaknesses, the humility to admit their mistakes, the courage to learn from their failures. They remain trapped in a cycle of self-pity and resentment, blaming the world for their misfortunes, never taking ownership of their lives. The weak lack discipline. They are easily distracted, easily discouraged, easily tempted. They succumb to instant gratification, neglecting the long-term work required to achieve meaningful goals. They lack the focus, the perseverance, the commitment necessary to endure the hardships of the crucible. They give up at the first sign of difficulty, abandoning their dreams at the first obstacle. They are easily swayed by distractions, constantly chasing the next shiny object, never staying focused on their goals. They lack the mental toughness to resist temptation, to delay gratification, to stay the course when the going gets tough. They are slaves to their impulses, their desires, their emotions. The weak underestimate the importance of mental preparation. They focus solely on physical skills, technical knowledge, external resources. They neglect the inner game, the mental strategies, the psychological resilience necessary to thrive in the crucible. They fail to visualize success, to anticipate challenges, to develop contingency plans. They are caught off guard by the intensity of the pressure, overwhelmed by the adversity they face. They crack under the strain, losing their composure, their focus, their will to fight. They are unprepared for the mental warfare that the crucible demands, the constant battle against doubt, fear, and negativity. They lack the mental tools to control their emotions, to manage their stress, to maintain their focus under pressure. The weak are unwilling to learn. They believe they already know everything they need to know. They are closed-minded, resistant to new ideas, unwilling to consider alternative perspectives. They fail to recognize that the crucible is a constant learning process, a relentless opportunity for growth and development. They refuse to adapt to changing circumstances, to incorporate new information, to refine their strategies. They cling to outdated beliefs, ineffective methods, and rigid mindsets. They become obsolete, irrelevant, and ultimately defeated. The crucible demands continuous learning, constant adaptation, and a relentless pursuit of knowledge. The weak lack a clear vision. They drift aimlessly through life without a purpose, without a direction, without a compelling reason to endure the hardships of the crucible. They lack a strong sense of self, a clear understanding of their values, and an unwavering commitment to their goals. They are easily swayed by the opinions of others, easily influenced by external pressures, easily distracted by fleeting desires. They lack the internal compass to guide them through the storm, the inner strength to resist temptation, the unwavering belief in themselves to overcome adversity. They are tossed about by the waves, at the mercy of the currents, destined to be swept away by the tide. The weak isolate themselves. They believe they can face the crucible alone, relying solely on their own strength, their own resources, their own abilities. They fail to recognize the importance of collaboration, the power of teamwork, the support of community. They alienate their allies, they reject assistance, they refuse to seek guidance. They are cut off from the knowledge, the experience, the encouragement they need to survive. The crucible demands connection, communication, and collaboration. It rewards those who build strong relationships, who foster trust, who support each other through the fire. The weak are consumed by ego. They believe they are superior to others, entitled to success, immune to failure. They are arrogant, condescending, and dismissive. They refuse to acknowledge their own weaknesses, to learn from their mistakes, to seek help from others. They alienate their allies, they antagonize their enemies, they sabotage their own efforts. The crucible humbles the arrogant, exposes the fraudulent, and destroys the self-righteous. It demands humility, integrity, and a willingness to serve others. The weak are afraid of pain. They avoid discomfort, they seek pleasure, they run from suffering. They fail to understand that pain is an inevitable part of growth, that struggle is a necessary ingredient for success, that adversity is an opportunity for transformation. They are unwilling to endure the sacrifices, the hardships, the challenges required to achieve their goals. They give up at the first sign of discomfort. They abandon their dreams at the first obstacle. They succumb to the pressure at the first setback. The crucible demands resilience, perseverance, and a willingness to embrace pain as a catalyst for growth. The weak lack gratitude. They focus on what they lack, on what they have lost, on what they have been denied. They are consumed by envy, resentment, and bitterness. They fail to appreciate the blessings in their lives, the opportunities they have been given, the support they have received. They are blind to the beauty around them, deaf to the kindness of others, and numb to the joy of living. The crucible demands gratitude, appreciation, and a focus on the positive. It rewards those who are grateful for what they have, who appreciate the small victories, and who maintain a sense of hope even in the darkest of times. Because the weak are trapped in these patterns, they burn away and produce nothing of value. The strong, on the other hand, use the crucible to forge themselves into something new. The strong understand that the crucible is not a punishment but a process. It's not about avoiding the heat, but about learning to withstand it. It's not about escaping the pressure, but about using it to mold yourself into something stronger. They embrace the discomfort, they welcome the challenges, they seek out the adversity. They know that it is in these moments of intense pressure that they are truly tested, that their weaknesses are exposed, and that their potential for growth is maximized. They understand that the crucible is a mirror, reflecting back their true selves, revealing their flaws and highlighting their strengths. It is an opportunity to confront their demons, to overcome their fears, and to emerge stronger, wiser, and more resilient. The weak complain about the heat. The strong adjust their armor. The strong possess an unshakable faith in their own ability to endure. This isn't blind optimism, but a deeply rooted conviction forged in the fires of past struggles. They remember the times they faced seemingly insurmountable odds and emerged victorious. They draw strength from these memories, using them as fuel to push through the present challenge. They understand that setbacks are inevitable, that failure is a part of the process, but that ultimately they will prevail. They see failure not as an ending, but as a learning opportunity, a chance to analyze their mistakes, adjust their strategy, and come back stronger. Their belief in themselves is their shield, protecting them from the corrosive effects of doubt and despair. The strong are masters of adaptation. They understand that the conditions within the crucible are constantly changing, that the pressures are always fluctuating. They don't cling to rigid plans or outdated strategies. They are flexible, agile, and responsive to the demands of the moment. They are willing to abandon their preconceived notions, to adjust their tactics, and to embrace new approaches. They are like water flowing around obstacles, adapting to the shape of the container. They understand that survival depends not on brute force, but on adaptability, on the ability to change and evolve in response to the ever-changing environment. They are the chameleons of the crucible, blending in, adapting, and thriving in the face of adversity. The strong cultivate a detached perspective. They don't allow themselves to become overwhelmed by emotions, to be consumed by anger, fear, or frustration. They are able to step back from the situation, to observe it objectively, to analyze it strategically. They understand that emotions can cloud judgment, that they can lead to impulsive decisions and costly mistakes. They train themselves to remain calm under pressure, to think clearly in the midst of chaos, to maintain a detached perspective even when the stakes are high. This detachment allows them to see the bigger picture, to identify opportunities, and to make rational decisions based on logic and reason, not on emotion. Strong are relentless learners. They are constantly seeking new knowledge, new skills, and new perspectives. They understand that the crucible is a learning laboratory, a place to experiment, to test their limits, and to expand their capabilities. They embrace failure as a learning opportunity, analyzing their mistakes, identifying areas for improvement, and incorporating new strategies into their repertoire. They are voracious readers, keen observers, and active participants in their own learning process. They understand that knowledge is power, and that the more they learn, the better equipped they will be to navigate the challenges of the crucible. The strong understand the power of focus. They don't allow themselves to be distracted by irrelevant details, by external pressures, or by internal doubts. They are able to laser focus their attention on the task at hand, to block out distractions, and to maintain their concentration even in the face of immense pressure. They understand that focus is a limited resource, and that it must be conserved and directed strategically. They prioritize their tasks, eliminate distractions, and create an environment that supports their focus. They are like a laser beam, cutting through the darkness, focused and unwavering in their pursuit of their goals. The strong are driven by a purpose greater than themselves. They are not motivated by ego, by greed, or by the desire for external validation. They are driven by a deeper sense of purpose, by a commitment to something larger than themselves, by a desire to make a positive impact on the world. This sense of purpose provides them with the motivation to persevere through difficult times, to overcome obstacles, and to stay focused on their goals. It gives them the strength to endure the crucible, knowing that their struggles are not in vain, that they are contributing to something meaningful and lasting. It aligns the inner will with outer action and forges a warrior who fears nothing. The strong are masters of self-awareness. They understand their strengths and weaknesses, their triggers and their vulnerabilities. They know what they are capable of, and they know where they need to improve. They are constantly monitoring their own thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, and they are willing to make adjustments as needed. This self-awareness allows them to make informed decisions, to avoid costly mistakes, and to maximize their potential. They understand that self-knowledge is the foundation of all other knowledge, and that without it, they are vulnerable to manipulation, deception, and self-sabotage. The weak are blind to themselves, but the strong have clear vision. The strong embrace delayed gratification. They understand that true success requires patience, discipline, and a willingness to sacrifice short-term pleasures for long-term gains. They are not swayed by instant gratification, by the allure of immediate rewards. They are able to resist temptation, to delay gratification, and to stay focused on their long-term goals. They understand that the crucible is a marathon, not a sprint, and that success requires sustained effort, unwavering commitment, and a willingness to endure the inevitable setbacks. They know that the greatest rewards are often the ones that are earned through the greatest sacrifices. The strong cultivate inner peace. They understand that the crucible is a place of intense pressure, that it can be overwhelming and stressful. They develop strategies for managing their stress, for calming their minds, and for maintaining a sense of inner peace even in the midst of chaos. They practice mindfulness, meditation, or other techniques to quiet their minds and to connect with their inner selves. They understand that inner peace is not the absence of conflict, but the ability to remain calm and centered in the face of conflict. It is the ability to maintain perspective, to make rational decisions, and to act with intention, even when the world around them is in turmoil. The strong learn from the pain of others. The crucible is not experienced alone, and countless others have been through the fire. The wise student learns from the victories and mistakes of those who came before, and applies it to their own unique struggle. The mistakes of others are lessons learned without personal sacrifice. The victories of others are proof that what seems impossible is often just a matter of will and strategy. To ignore the lessons of history is to doom oneself to repeat the failures of the past. But to learn from the past is to build a future based on wisdom and strength. Consider the Roman Empire, a civilization forged in constant warfare. From its humble beginnings as a small city-state to its dominance over vast territories, Rome was perpetually engaged in conflict. Its legions marched across continents, facing enemies of every kind, from the disciplined ranks of Carthage to the fierce tribes of Gaul and the cunning Parthians in the east. Each war was a crucible, testing the strength of its soldiers, the wisdom of its leaders, and the resilience of its political system. The early Roman soldier was a citizen farmer called to arms when needed. He fought for his land, his family, and the honor of Rome. The demands were harsh. Campaigns could last for years, and the risks were immense. Yet these citizen soldiers, tempered by hardship and driven by a shared purpose, became a formidable fighting force. They learned to endure the brutal realities of war, to withstand hunger, fatigue, and fear. They developed a code of discipline and loyalty that bound them together, forging a brotherhood on the battlefield. But the crucible of war was not limited to the battlefield. It also tested the Roman political system, exposing its weaknesses and forcing it to adapt. The Punic Wars, for example, nearly brought Rome to its knees, but the crisis led to reforms that strengthened the state and paved the way for its future expansion. The Gracchi brothers attempted to address land inequality, and while their efforts ended in tragedy, they revealed deep-seated tensions within Roman society. These political struggles, though often violent and divisive, ultimately led to a more sophisticated and resilient system of governance. The Roman leaders also faced their own crucibles. Generals like Scipio Africanus, who defeated Hannibal at Zama, had to overcome immense challenges to achieve their victories. They had to master the art of strategy, logistics, and troop leadership. They had to inspire their soldiers to fight against overwhelming odds and to make difficult decisions under immense pressure. They had to manage the complex political dynamics of Rome, navigating the rivalries and ambitions of powerful senators. Their success depended not only on their military skills, but also on their ability to think strategically, to adapt to changing circumstances, and to maintain their composure in the face of adversity. The crucible of war also revealed the flaws in the Roman system. The relentless pursuit of conquest led to the exploitation of conquered peoples, the accumulation of vast wealth in the hands of a few, and the erosion of traditional values. The rise of powerful generals like Julius Caesar, who commanded the loyalty of their troops and defied the authority of the Senate, threatened the stability of the Republic. The civil wars that followed Caesar's assassination plunged Rome into chaos, exposing the deep divisions within Roman society and the fragility of its political institutions. These internal conflicts, fueled by ambition, greed, and political rivalry, ultimately led to the downfall of the Republic and the rise of the Empire. Even the transition from Republic to Empire can be viewed as a crucible. Augustus, Caesar's adopted son, emerged from the civil wars as the sole ruler of Rome. He understood that the Republic was no longer capable of governing the vast territories under Roman control. He skillfully consolidated his power, establishing a new political order that preserved the outward forms of the Republic while concentrating real authority in his own hands. He reformed the army, the bureaucracy, and the legal system, creating a more efficient and stable government. The Pax Romana, the era of peace and prosperity that followed Augustus's reign, was a testament to his ability to learn from the past and to adapt to the challenges of his time. But even during the Pax Romana, the Roman Empire faced internal and external pressures. Barbarian tribes threatened its borders, economic inequalities persisted, and political intrigues continued to plague the imperial court. The emperors who followed Augustus had to navigate these challenges, making difficult decisions that often had far-reaching consequences. Some, like Trajan and Hadrian, were skilled administrators and military leaders who expanded the empire and strengthened its defenses. Others, like Nero and Caligula, were known for their cruelty and incompetence, undermining the stability of the state. The success or failure of these emperors depended on their ability to learn from the past, to adapt to changing circumstances, and to maintain the support of the army and the people. The lesson from Rome is that the crucible never ends. Even in times of peace and prosperity, challenges remain. The strong are those who embrace the crucible, who learn from their mistakes, and who never give up the pursuit of self-mastery. The challenges don't disappear. They merely evolve, demanding a new level of vigilance, a sharper edge to your mental sword. You are not striving for a destination, a point of arrival where struggle ceases. You are forging yourself into a weapon, a tool capable of withstanding any pressure, any blow. The crucible is not a trial to be endured, but a constant state of refinement. To resist it is to stagnate, to weaken, to allow the world to dictate your fate. Embrace the heat, the pressure, the relentless hammering. Let it break you down, only to rebuild you stronger, more resilient, more focused. Each challenge overcome is not a victory to be celebrated and then forgot, but a lesson to be internalized, a scar to be worn with pride, a testament to your unwavering will. You are the architect of your own mind, the master of your own destiny. The crucible is your workshop, your proving ground, the place where potential is transformed.